Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Grace Hatfield from EHS Daily Advisor, and thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Faces of EHS. This is a segment where we feature environmental health and safety professionals and highlight their journeys and hear their thoughts about EHS trends and issues. Today, we are joined by Scott Selasky, who is the Corporate OSHA and Workers' Compensation Manager at L&F Distributors and Favorite Brands. So, hi, Scott, how are you today?
Hello, great. Thank you for asking.
Of course. So, can you tell us a little bit about your position at L&F Industries and Favorite Brands and what you guys do as an organization?
So, what we are is we're a leading wholesale beverage distributor of beer products with 13 warehouses we have throughout the state of Texas and New Mexico. We have
Mm.
about 1,500 employees. And it's just very manual, labor intensive positions that we have here. We have positions in the warehouse that are picking the product. We have delivery positions, which are taking the beer from the truck into the different stores, such as gas stations, supermarkets. We have merchandising positions where they're following the trucks as well, and they're just keep re-merchandising all day. Sales reps of management positions here. So, yeah, so one of the very unique things about our distributor is that we are actually along the entire border town of Texas and Mexico. So we have a very diverse culture here. And then with our sister company, Favorite Brands, we're located in all the major cities of Texas. So we have the best of both worlds going on.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm from Houston, so I think I've seen you guys around.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So let's jump right in. How did you get your start in EHS?
So, well, for me, it's not the typical start of going to college, getting a safety management degree or anything in
Mm.
safety. Um, I actually went to college at Central Michigan University, got a chemistry degree from there, and started actually as a chemist in the paints and coatings industry. And from paints and coatings, I really got interested into the hazardous waste side. So I took a position with another company doing hazardous waste, got what they called my CHMM, Certified Hazardous Material Manager certificate at the time,
Mhm.
and then decided to move to a better opportunity within a company called Xerox. They had a new little startup position over in Ann Arbor. And so I took a chemist slash hazardous material manager position with them. After I started there for a while, they had experimental equipment and machinery to make the products that they were doing. And unfortunately, at the time, someone was killed on the job over there.
Oh,
So yes, it was asphyxiation by crushing injury
oh
or
wow.
compression. With them, they did not have any emergency stops on the equipment, no fencing, no policies to keep people out. So the engineer decided to go in, try to make some quick adjustments on the machinery. Unfortunately, he hit one of the start buttons on the machinery, and it's a huge chamber, and the chambers just come down and squashed him in
Oh
between.
no.
So
Yeah.
at that time, what had happened is they says, "Well, you're already doing hazardous waste management. Do you want to maybe transition into the role of safety?" I thought it'd be maybe a good opportunity to get out of the chemistry side and into safety. So I started learning all about the safety because Michigan has their own state-run OSHA. It's all my OSHA standards. I started learning.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, the company did close over there, and they kind of recombined with Xerox. So I looked for a new position, and that's how I found a position here at L&F Distributors, Favorite Brands. And since then, I have been a corporate safety manager over here. We have 13 safety coordinators, a separate person at each location, and that's how we've set up our department. And that's how I've got into safety. Didn't take the direct route, didn't even think I'd ever do safety in my life. While you're
Yeah.
mixing chemicals and with hazardous waste. So now I've just been going ahead, taking several different OSHA courses, safety courses throughout the year, got different certifications, such as my Occupational Safety Health Professional, LCR for Loss Control Representative, doing all the workers' comp. And I'm looking at getting a workers' comp adjuster's license as well.
Wow, yeah, that's kind of a huge jump right into safety. Dealing with a fatality right off the bat, that had to be really rough. But
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So who's been your biggest influence in the industry?
So there's been no one single person who's been an influence in the industry here. It's because maybe because I didn't go to school, I didn't have the mentors, the contacts for me. So
Mhm.
what happens is when I'm out in public, maybe at a restaurant, your friends, you start talking to people, and all of a sudden that person says, "Hey, you know what? I do safety for my company too." What a coincidence! And then that's how we start talking, and I learn what they do, they learn what I do. We start swapping contact information. And so anyone that's actually helped me through my entire safety career has been the influence. They've guided me, or they maybe have told me that there are certain classes that I should have taken. I did not know. Here in the state of Texas, we have something called TEEX, the Texas Education Extension Services, which offers courses. Probably would have found it eventually, but to found it so quickly. And so I'm like, wow, there's courses there. So that's how I got into that. So,
Yeah,
so it's been everybody that I've come in contact with, have built a relationship with, where I've been able to feel free to call the person. They've corresponded back to me.
that's awesome.
Yes.
So, what's your best mistake and what did you learn from it?
So from my mistakes, of course, learning the way I kind of learned, yes, I've made many mistakes along the way.
Mhm.
And you learn something from them each and every time so that you make sure that you have the learning curve consistent. But the biggest mistake I have ever made was working on a project with the company here. And I was trying to do something with draft line cleaning because that's never really been done before. I know
Mhm.
there's major companies that deal with draft lines, but they've never really done anything specific for safety itself. And so what I wanted to do is investigate how do we clean those draft lines safely, because there is a very acidic chemical that we use in there. And we weren't using any of the personal protective equipment. We weren't taking any of the precautions. And when draft line cleaning happens, typically customers are still in the restaurants as we're cleaning their draft lines. Even though the draft line chemical is blue, it's amazing how many bartenders will still pour out a blue cup of beer along the way and
Mm.
serve it to a customer. And that's our cleaning chemicals in there.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So
Yeah.
what I wanted to do is go ahead and be able to investigate how to make it safe for our employees, safe for our customers. And what I started doing is really going out and investigating how you clean those draft lines. And what I was doing is really tying up employees, tying up resources from them maybe getting to their next accounts, finishing cleaning. And so it really looked more as a waste of time, what I was doing when you're
Mm.
trying to involve employees, ask them how they're doing it, ask them about when they go into the coolers, if they have carbon monoxide or carbon dioxide detectors in there, searching for carbon dioxide detectors. Um, so I learned really start on my own, investigate this myself, see what I can really learn, look at a project from the larger scope, get more information, and then start involving a few employees at once till you really get the project moving and going forward. In the end, it was a great safety training presentation that I put, and it was amazing how many hazards I really found on an everyday basis of an employee touching chemicals with gloves, and then they're picking up their cell phone, talking on their cell phone, maybe scratching their
Mm.
eyebrows. And I'm like, we're really transferring the chemicals around. So
Yeah. That's kind of cool, though, how your background in chemistry comes into play in safety.
exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. Like when people talk sometimes about chemicals, I'm not as afraid of them being a chemist and
Mhm.
knowing the background chemistry of it versus a true safety person that has studied and say, "Oh my God, every chemical is dangerous." Every
Mm.
Yes, they are, but you know what? You can still use a lot of them very safely along the ways.
Absolutely, yeah. So, what's been your favorite and least favorite part about working in EHS, and would you change anything?
So, my favorite part of working in environmental health and safety right now has been seeing all the success stories, reducing the injuries, getting employees on board, the safety culture, um, knowing that I'm actually making a difference, even though maybe it's a small one sometimes, but I'm still making a difference. But one of the best compliments I have ever heard, and I happened to be walking through a hallway one time. I make all of our safety coordinators this year go ahead and do a 5 slide presentation this year. Most of them don't know how to use PowerPoint, don't know how to present. So I thought that's a great introduction to really push them
Mhm.
forward so that they have to actually research a small topic and present it to the rest of the group. One of my safety coordinators was scared to death to do a presentation, didn't know how to
Mhm.
use Microsoft PowerPoint, didn't want to present. And he called the safety coordinator where I'm located here. Hey, I got to do this. I don't know how. How should it? Is Scott, where's Scott going to be? How will he help? And they didn't know I happened to be listening. And what he had told me is, or what he told the other person was, you know what? Scott will not let you fail. And that is like one of the biggest compliments to me that, I'm not going to let my safety coordinators fail. I want to make
Yeah.
sure that they know what they're doing. They have the resources from me. They know how to find the resources. So what I always do is I make sure I guide them in the right direction. I kind of mentor them along the way from management. One of the It was a professor back in chemistry had told me, you can use your book for the exams. Why? Because he wanted you to know how to do it. And he wants you to know
Mhm.
where the resources were. He goes, you can't memorize everything. And that's what I teach them too. Here's where the OSHA standards are. Here's how you use them. Here's how they're organized. Here's the NFPA standards. Here's DOT standards. Here's where you're going to find your information. I don't expect everyone to know every single thing there is because so much is out there. So I make sure that they have the resources, know how to use them, and know where to find the answers. I feel that's most important uh, to them and to me.
Absolutely. And do you have a least favorite part?
Um, not really. There's
Yeah,
no
that's
really
good.
least favorite. It's maybe the days you walk in and you hear another injury. You're like, oh crap.
Yeah.
You put your head
Yeah.
down. You're like, I thought we went through that already.
Yeah. For sure though, that's good that it sounds like you love your job then in that case if there's no least favorite.
You know,
Um,
this is a very different position for a safety person to have. You typically don't hear safety people at a beer wholesaler,
mhm.
distributing beer. And when people say that, like, what? You have someone doing safety? Are you teaching them to drink
Mhm.
safely? What are you doing? People don't understand that we really do have a lot of safety hazards and that we need to minimize those safety hazards.
Absolutely. So you mentioned safety culture. So what are your thoughts on safety culture and how can company leaders make safety a value in their organizations?
So when I first started here several years ago, I don't believe safety was even a word in anybody's vocabulary here. It was sales, sales, sales. Let's go ahead and get the beer out. Let's go ahead and push more beer. And so over the years, we've finally been trying to really rotate that safety culture where
Mhm.
not only are the managers involved, the employees are more involved since we do promote from within. How the manager had it back when he was delivering is what they've always been doing, and now that's what they are teaching their employees. It's okay to take shortcuts. Oh, it's okay. You know what? As long as we get the beer in the store. But they're finally
Mhm.
realizing that safety is really important to keep their team together, to keep the injuries down. And so getting the buy-in and really changing the shape of the management has been hard, but yet, you see the corner where we are now having risk mitigation team meetings. We have employees involved. We have them recognizing hazards. The owners have seen all the work that's been going on with our safety team here, and we have 100% buy-in and commitment from the owners of the company as well to really make safety, push it to the forefront, and make it a priority here at the company.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah. So what safety concerns or issues do you think need more prioritization in EHS programs?
So, my biggest feeling is when I go to look for different safety topics, safety presentations, safety flyers, I notice a lot of them are really outdated in our
Mm,
world. I looked at ergonomics on the OSHA website, and there's still graphics from maybe the 1980s there.
mhm,
And I'm like, wow, I've never seen this equipment in my life. That
mhm,
how we're going to get the kegs in, or how we do this. We since we are here in deep South Texas, we're going to be 105 degrees today with like
mhm,
119 degree heat index. So looking through the heat illness programs, I am looking at the pictures, looking at the presentations. They still have people from like the 1970 where they're showing the true Mexican immigrants coming over with the hats on and working in the fields. And I'm like,
mhm.
wow, I really can't show that to my employees. This is not right. So I've really had to get creative, and I've gone out to other different state-run OSHAs, such as Cal OSHA, Oregon OSHA, Nevada OSHA, which actually have a lot more updated materials, which is still
Mhm.
very relevant. And so that's really what I've been using, and that's where we really need to prioritize. Is if they want us to use material, use training, we really need to look and having all that updated to make it useful for EHS managers out there for their company. Otherwise, we're having to recreate the wheel.
Absolutely, I could not agree more.
Yes.
Yeah. So, what will be the impact of environmental, social, and governance principles on the EHS industry?
So we are actually part of a large captive group for beverage captive with 45 other beer distributors. And it is actually very important to our captive group about saving the environment, looking at making it a better workplace for all of our
Mhm,
employees. So we've looked at how to reduce our fuel usage by combining loads, using more fuel efficient trucks, keeping the lights down, overhead doors closed on all of our cooler systems to keep that air conditioning inside the coolers. We don't need to heat the outside area or cool the outside areas.
mhm.
So, our mission statement, one of the lines in it actually says ideal place of employment. So we have really been working also toward making it a great place of employment for our employees by giving them the resources from a health and better health insurance, fitness, disease management programs. We've worked with like human trafficking to let employees know what is it, especially being that, again, we are right near the border, and that
Mhm.
is very prevalent down this way to have human trafficking. We've dealt with labor laws for our managers, retaliation, and been teaching them all about better employee relations.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome, especially about the human trafficking, because I'm sure that's a huge issue at the border.
Yeah, it definitely can be, yes.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. So, how will new safety technologies influence the work being done by EHS professionals?
So right now, I see that a lot of AI equipment is out there, artificial intelligence equipment. I've attended some broadcasts on artificial intelligence equipment recently, and what I've seen is that you can really learn a lot from this equipment, especially in the leading factors versus being reactive.
Mhm.
So I'm all for any type of new technology coming on board that could really forecast what maybe could prevent an injury happening in the future.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, to pivot back to you personally, what are you most proud of?
Oh my goodness. Uh, you know, I guess I'm proudest of creating a safety program here from nothing, making it
Hmm.
run, really getting support, getting buy-in from management team members, from owners.
Yeah, that's definitely something to be proud of.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, then my last question is, do you have any advice for people entering EHS?
So the point I have is, There are probably going to be many disappointments throughout your day. There's going to be many unsuccessful times you may have, but you go back and look at when you do have success stories, when you've reduced the injury, you've created a new safety training, you've done something, and you look on those successes, and that's how you can really determine how good you're doing. And don't let the little things get you down, because there's always going to be a lot of little things going on.
For
And
sure.
yeah, and unfortunately, those sometimes really can add up to become a bigger problem. And so just tackle them one at a time, do with what you know, and always reach out to resources or network. That's some of the best things you can do, especially if you aren't sure where to go, where to head.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time. I'm so grateful to have had this opportunity to get to know you, and I'm sure our audience is going to love to hear everything you have to say.
So thank you so much, Gracie, as well.